baby. We gotta win this one.
Out the jump, let's go. Let's go, man, let's go. Here we go.
This is about to be a lit day today.
Hey, let's get back to our swagger, come on.
All of them get the dough down. They get the dough down.
Okay, meet at the quarterback.
Week 3 is amongst us as we welcome you inside the TCO studios for another edition of the Audible presented by 3M. My name is Gabe Henderson. I'm alongside Tatum, Everett. We got the two big men on the defensive line for the Minnesota Vikings beside us, Mr. Dalvin Tomlinson, Mr. Harrison Phillips. Guys, thank you for joining us, first and foremost. We like to start this thing off with an icebreaker. I know this is your first time on the show. So we like to start this thing off with 2 truths and a lie. So on the cue card in front of you, Harrison, we're going to start with you. There are 3 sentences on your card. Dalvin, it's up to you to understand or to answer which 2 sentences are true and which one is a lie. Harrison, you got to read it out. You ready?
By the way, what's up with that? Why you ain't have us on before?
Man, because, well, first and foremost.
This is your first year.
Exactly. Oh, thank you.
Not for my man DT.
I don't know.
Well,
Damn.
Dalvin didn't want to join us last year. He just said, Gabe and Tatum, I'm going to just let them do
You
this.
just got to write a bigger check because he got so much money, you know what I'm saying?
Man, all the truths are coming out right now.
I feel like DT's going to get this right.
Okay.
All right.
Feel like it? Okay.
Okay.
Let's get it.
Number 1, in the morning, I never set my alarm to wake up on a number divisible by 5. So I don't wake up at like 8:45, 8:50, 8:55. Okay? My nickname growing up as a kid was Handsome Harry. Or in 2019, I bought an 880-pound cow to grill steaks and other stuff. Like I bought the cow, like the whole cow.
I'm going with the first one, but the don't set your alarms by numbers with 5,
And why you think that is?
because I know you.
Do you?
DT.
I thought I did. I remember the cow.
Dog, look at me. Handsome Harry?
As a kid, bro, I was having faith in you, bro.
I was chunky.
Oh, I love it.
I was a cute kid, so I thought we was the same.
You were just telling us how you wore suits as a kid, so I believe it,
You said we were the same guy.
I don't know what it is. I'm not like an OCD person, but for some reason, like if I have to wake up at 9, but I set that thing at 8:59, I feel like, or 9:01, I feel like, oh, I'm sleeping in. I get past 9 or something like that. I don't know.
It's a good
something I do.
mindset.
I get that.
Yeah. And come on, horrible
never
hair.
told me that.
Horrible hair. No, I don't know. I don't know how they know that. I don't know how they know that.
I don't know how Gabe knows that.
Well, Shay is
Well,
something.
check, I mean, your Twitter name is Horrible Harry.
I know, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
I knew that, but as a kid,
But honestly,
I thought
hey,
he took it from.
To be honest, that's my man saying that
I was trying to look
I'm
out
a
for
handsome
him.
man.
There you
know
go.
what I'm saying? So,
You know,
Because he looked-
you came
he
up
was
with that to
pretty
trip him up.
sticky.
I
I had to. I figured
He was trying to trip you up.
play on words,
Yeah.
but Tatum, he has to explain the 880-pound
Yes.
cow.
well, that's like about how much hanging weight a cow has. So yeah, they're like 3 or 4,000 pounds or whatever these big cattle weigh. But in 2019, I actually went in on a cow with Jim Kelly, who was up in Buffalo as a former quarterback up there. And we had a mutual friend, Tim McGraw. I knew Tim and Faith through their daughter Maggie at Stanford, and Jim knew him through, being Jim. So we went in and got one of his cows from his farm down in Tennessee and brought it up, and then had to go buy a deep freezer, and that was my meat for like the next 3 years. So during COVID and all the prices was going crazy, we were good. I was
I was about to say, how long does that even last you? 3 years?
Well, yeah, but I also wasn't in Buffalo year round. So like I was
Okay.
gone a lot,
Gotcha.
during the off seasons and stuff like that. But when you divide it out, it's definitely a frugal way to go if you're a big cow and beef eater.
Surprised nobody tried to steal like the fillet part. So like, I'm gonna get this.
No,
piece
but
while
I
it's
was
gone.
really willing to give away like the tongue and the eyes and the lung.
Yeah, I
some
can
of
see
the
that.
yeah, the tongue was a funky thing. I definitely gave that away. Somebody fed it to their pit bulls.
That one.
Have you heard of a meat raffle?
Yeah, yeah.
That was something I learned about when I came here. So I didn't know if that was something you'd be interested in.
I've done some charity stuff with some meat raffles
Yeah,
before.
it's pretty cool.
Just heard about that today. Dalvin, your turn.
Ooh,
Come on,
okay.
DT.
Get it. Let's get it.
Never.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm on.
I tried playing multiple instruments as a kid, but gave up on it because of the difficulty. I am the only player in the entire 2017 NFL class to start every game possible. I earned admittance to Harvard University after graduating high school with a 4.4.
Oh, I already know that one. We already know that one. You see, I think number 1 is fake. I don't believe that you would give up on something that easy. I think that you, in my time being with you, like the harder something is, the more you push at it to make it correct. So I'm gonna go with number 1 is not true.
You're correct.
What you talking about?
Yeah, I started off playing trumpet in middle school, and then I moved to percussion instruments like snare drum, bass drum, xylophone, and piano. And
wow.
So I played a couple instruments in my lifetime, I guess you can say.
Do you have one of those start-stop pedal systems where you can like play everything you just listed and be your own like one-man band?
Nah, not that one. Cause like I'm super rusty on piano.
Okay.
And I can play a little bit of ukulele too.
Oh, wow.
Love
Yeah.
that.
How does that help with your cognitive process when it comes to being a professional?
I think it helps a lot, especially because like with football, you have the turnover is so quick every game, every week. Like you have to get ready for the new opponent, and you have to drop old stuff or pick up stuff from a couple weeks ago and all that stuff. And just learning different instruments is like all of them are so similar, but they're yet so different.
How did you find out about the Harvard admission? How did that come up in conversation?
You know, when Ed Donatel came into the defense or onto this team this year, from day one, we talked about partnerships and connections and like how important to be a great team is we have to love the guy next to us and know about our brother. So we've been sharing our stories in front of the team. And when we broke into the defensive line room, that's the same thing. The position groups are supposed to share within each other's groups, so we knew each other. And obviously Dalvin being one of the oldest guys, one of the veteran guys in the room, he went first. So we went up and started telling the story. And I'm writing this stuff down, you know, I want to get to know my dog. And I'm like, oh, dang, okay, that's me too. Oh, that, okay. And so he tells a lot of his story, and then I'm the next guy to go. And so I go up and I was like, honestly, I don't have anything to say. DT in my story is like the exact same. So then even Coach Donatel then put up a picture of both of us, and it was a great example of like guys from completely different backgrounds, you know, SEC, Pac-12, I'm from Nebraska, from the South, like, and then what was it? We had like 4.0 plus students, accepted to Ivy League schools, 3-time state champion wrestlers, gone through multiple ACL tears, engaged a high school girlfriend. Like we're dang near the same person. They put a little stepbrother's picture of us.
Yeah.
And so I knew that, you know, he probably accepted a lot of Ivy League schools just like I was.
Wow. And I know like both of you guys, just speaking of wrestling, right? Both of you guys were state champions. And I'm sure that's probably key to being a good defensive tackle, but how was that key, explaining that to our audience? How was it key being a former wrestler and being a defensive tackle? How does that correlate?
I personally think it's like the best thing you could do as a lineman in general, just because in wrestling you learn so much about leverage. And as a defensive lineman and offensive lineman, it's like leverage wins everything. And you learn how to use somebody's body against their own will. And as a defensive lineman, we do that every Sunday. So I feel like that's like the biggest part of it. And the mental toughness is probably by far the hardest part.
I was going to say, yeah, the physical part, like he said, I mean, balance, core work, hips, hands, all that stuff comes into play. You see guys like the way that DT can play some of his blocks. He doesn't have to be locked into the guy because he can feel his momentum, and that allows him to like gap and a half and make other plays.
Let me feel too good over here now.
The mental side of the
Pro
game,
Bowl right now.
I think the mental side of the game is interesting because so much in today's world with participation awards and a lot of people want to put the blame on other people. Offense didn't score points. Defense made them, you know, they let up too many points. Coaches play calling, yada, yada, yada. Wrestling, it's you and another man in a mat, and you can't blame the turf. You can't blame your cleats, the clay call. It's you and another man. And so much in the trenches, that happens. Now, sometimes they get 2 against 1, not so fair. But when it is that one-on-one, you know, when you wrestle your whole life, you build that habit of like, you know, I have to come out victorious in this one-on-one matchup.
Okay, I have a guest question. This is from your defensive line coach, Chris Rum.
Oh, Lord.
It's going to be a good one. What is your favorite wrestling move? And if they'd win, if they were a tag team in the WWE. So 2-part question. First, what was your favorite wrestling move?
Favorite wrestling move had to be any type of cradle.
Okay. Outside single for me.
You knew it.
You said you did sweep singles too, so I thought you were going to say that
I was
too.
going to, but I was like, I put a lot of people on cradles.
Okay.
I would say show us that, but we got a radio audience listening. But
We also want them to be healthy in the game on Sunday. But then the second part, if you guys were a tag team in the WWE, would you win?
Okay, DT, we need to talk about this.
Definitely.
This is the
This
question.
should be our transition out the league.
I was
When we
thinking about
decide
it.
to go,
I was thinking about it.
after a couple Super Bowls, WWE, if you were watching, listening, send the contract.
Hey, we got it. We
Send
got
a contract for, what would it be, like 2030? About time we could retire? Something
But AJ in the league,
whatever.
WWE now too. He was in New York with me. They're crazy.
That's
So,
wild.
yeah, we definitely could do that, and we're definitely gonna win though.
You got
Yeah.
a name? Would there be a name?
That's for the next time you invite us on.
Next time.
Oh, okay.
We can't release
The
it too
tease
early
is our
now.
job. The tease
Somebody
is
might
our
steal it
job.
if we said now, though. You know, we gotta wait.
Like, would you really consider like doing something?
Yeah,
Really?
I need to lose some weight first. But
I'm off the top rope.
Hey, look, well, that's
and the gauntlet would be cold. It's a
I got the gauntlet
WWE,
on?
son. Yeah, that could be cold.
well,
The
look,
gauntlet sounds like a great name.
the gauntlet.
For him.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah.
The gauntlet in one Infinity Stone. I walk out with just one on.
You got the right and he got the left?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's exactly how it could be.
Well, look, we're going to end this first segment on that note. Coming up right after the break, we'll have more with Harrison Phillips and Dalvin Tomlinson. We are back. This is the Audible presented by 3M. My name is Gabe Henderson alongside Tatum Everett. We got Dalvin Tomlinson and Harrison Phillips, Minnesota Vikings defensive lineman on the show. And fellas, being a former wide receiver, I get the ball in my hands a lot. You guys have had it 5 times combined in your hands. Harrison, you got 3 fumble recoveries. Dalvin, you got 2 fumble recoveries here, both here with the Minnesota Vikings. And I got to ask, for a defensive lineman, what is it like getting a fumble recovery? Because I saw you high step it last time when you got it against the Green Bay Packers, Dalvin.
It's super exciting. You know, one thing the defense always want to do is run to the end zone. That being smart last week, you know, I wasn't. If I ran down there and they overturned it, I got to go back in there. Yeah. So save my lungs for that one. But it's super exciting. You know, it's we barely get to touch the ball, and when we do, we just feel like a big kid again, all over again.
Yeah, I'd second that. I would say when you look at like the easiest way to tell if you're going to win a game, it's a turnover margin. And so that's such a big play in a game to however you come up with the football, whatever it is. It's a really big play. And then I would say that I'm low-key a little scared when I get that thing. Like luckily the 3 times that I've got them, it's in the mush, so I'm already down. But if there was space and I have to scoop and go, Lord better be with me. That's a lot of pressure.
Well, if you score, you got to
I was
grit
say,
it.
if they caught Chris Boyd, they for sure catching me.
Hey, I got you. If you get on a 20-yard line, I think you got it.
And if you blocking for me,
I got you, bro.
there we go.
If I'm not on a double team,
Yeah. If I didn't cause it on the ground, right?
Harrison, are you a Marvel or DC guy?
That's a great question. I'm gonna go Marvel.
Dalvin
I
looked at you.
know I'm feeling it right now. That's why I answered so quickly. But I do F with Batman. So
Okay.
Okay.
But actually, Dalvin kind of inspired my fiance and our starting the whole Marvel start to finish.
Are you?
He's helped me out with the list and the order I got to go and stuff.
Oh, wow. Man,
There's
you got
a
a
lot.
lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. But I think
my
once
God.
the
Iron Man.
snow, not too much stuff to do. I'm a homebody.
Wake up at 9 o'clock to do it, right?
Is
Or
it something that
8:55.
started when you were a kid?
56.
Yes and no. Yes, because I started a DC fan as a kid, like watching all the Teen Titans and stuff like that. And I felt like as I got older, I liked Marvel better because Iron Man's my favorite Marvel superhero. And like I told HP, like on the field I try to be Thanos, but off the field I try to be Iron Man. So,
So where did the glove idea come from of you putting in, drawing
drawing
Infinity
the stones
on
on.
your
So
white gloves?
in New York, it was actually against Detroit when Matt Stafford was there. I got a sack, and we were just watched a Marvel movie. I forgot which one it was, and I got a sack, and I threw up the gauntlet and did the snap. And then the next year I did it again, and people started going crazy about it. But last year I was sitting in my locker and talking to Mike Pierce, and me and Mike was talking about it. And he was like, "Hey, bro, you might need to put stones on there." And I was like, "That's a good idea." So I went and got all the Sharpies with all the colored stones, and I started drawing them on there. And I don't think last year everybody didn't notice it, and then this year everybody started to notice it. But I love it.
That's great. I mean, you described that right hand as being unstoppable. I mean, even last week when I was in the locker room asking you guys about the run game and how you stop, you were like, just use your hand, man. I mean, how unstoppable is Dalvin's right hand?
Watch the film. That's about all I can say. I mean, luckily I don't have to feel it. I know that when we partner up in our D-line Indy, I normally try to avoid Dalvin. Just because of what the right hand can do. But no.
Speaking of power, so you posted that video, Dalvin, on your Instagram of the Vikings capturing that moment against the Las Vegas Raiders pregame. And I remember looking at your caption on that photo, and it said, "Reality is often disappointing. Now, reality can be whatever I want. And I feel like when you guys are on the football field, that's your reality. So we've talked about who you guys are off the field, but when that helmet comes on, like, who are you guys?
You go to a whole different place, I guess you can say, because in the trenches is by far not the easiest thing to play on a football field. It's not super flashy. Most of the time, you're probably an unsung hero on the inside. So it's like you have to have the mindset is like you're going out here to play for the guy next to you. You're not just doing this just for yourself, because it takes all of us up front. We're a unit, and we feed off of each other.
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's definitely that like dog approach that you have to bring into the trenches. But for me, honestly, game days are very spiritual for me. Like I feel, like Holy Spirit, God's presence really big in me. So I would say more like a disciple on game day where, God has blessed me with all of us with so many amazing traits and qualities and reassured us in our life that this is what we're supposed to be doing is playing football, that when we have such a big cloud of great witnesses that we can, hopefully can do something to turn their eyes back to him. And so that's what I'm out there often asking for, like, Holy Spirit, wake up in me, let me make a play to turn their eyes to show them who's really playing through me.
Yeah, that's powerful. It makes me feel really weird when I ask my next question, though, so I apologize for this awful segue. But you did talk a little bit about that dog mentality going out there, and you came in here saying, the nose tackle job is basically like being a fire hydrant. Had you heard that before?
Yeah, I had heard it in an interview. I heard it. I was like, oh, man.
Had you heard that before he described it that way?
No.
No. Would you agree with the description?
Sounds about right.
Did you coin this? Is this something that we need to trademark?
I think I had a pastor who mentioned it to me back in California, but luckily in our room we divvy up the doubles pretty solid, and DT takes as many as I do, and vice versa. So, but it's when you talk about the shell defense and the places that have had great success with it, it's a lot of guys in the front seven be able to set the edges and slow the run game down while we hold our shells. So we know that in this defense is different than the ones I've played in before, where they're really just bumping you and coming off. I mean, they can kind of hang on you a little extra step. So there's a little more physical, a little more sore after games, but it also makes you a little more grateful for that feeling too.
Are there any traits that carry? I mean, both of you guys played in New York. You played for the Giants, Dalvin. You played for the Bills, Harrison. Are there any traits that carry on from one team to another that continues to make a good defensive lineman? Because schemes are different wherever you go. But are there any common traits or what are some common traits that make things work from different place to place?
Yeah, I feel like since I played in a couple different defenses in the NFL, and I feel like the most consistent thing is your hands. Like if you have bad hands, it doesn't matter how fast, how strong you are, how much work you put in. If you don't have good hands on the defensive line, it's going to be a long night for you.
Yeah, I'd say hands get me out of trouble a lot. And then I would say a trait that is a great trait to have, something that Dalvin and I can use, is just that like cognitive flexibility to be able to anticipate plays. You don't want to guess plays, but you can anticipate them coming. And like if I sent you out there to go play D tackle and I told you before the play, it's going to be wide zone, you have a one-on-one with the center, you might have a better chance than if you just go out there and say, I don't know what the hell's about to happen. So I think having that, the mental side of the game is a trait that obviously any defensive player can capitalize on if you understand how to break down offenses.
After watching the tape from the Philly game and seeing the performance, how do you digest that and move on to the Lions, knowing that, I mean, we spoke after the game, talking a lot about there were miscommunications on the field. How do you overcome those for a better performance on Sunday?
You have to take it and you have to grow from it. You have to see the mistakes we made, and I feel like the biggest thing for us, we got to a point I felt like up front we weren't playing the game we normally would play. We weren't being us to the fullest ability to help our other guys and make plays. And I'm like, it reminds me of like when I was in Alabama, we lost to Ole Miss like week 3. So it's like you have to use those. It's all about the adversity we get from it and grow from it as a team, as a defense, and just as a whole unit.
Where do you feel like you guys have grown thus far from week 1 to week 2 to week 3? Because, every week is different, but as far as a defensive line unit.
Us up front, I mean, I think a lot of it's trusting and understanding like, hey, I know so-and-so is going to be in his gap. I don't have to do something extra. I don't have to be the one to make the play. We'll let the plays come. The communication aspect that he talked about, it's different playing at home, playing on the road. And we, total different offenses that we faced already versus what we were playing in training camp versus our offense all year. So it's definitely an evolution of thing. I would hope to God that we never look back and say we played our best football in early September, mid-September. So we're definitely growing, buying into it, and the more we can understand our responsibilities and playing off each other, I think there's no ceiling for where we can go defensively, where we can go up front, where we can go as a team.
Now you get to go back to US Bank Stadium. You probably are excited about that. The first game for you was kind of crazy.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was, like I said, in the preseason game, I stayed in the locker room to miss the pregame theatrics, so that when I got to go out, that was the first time I experienced it. But yeah, it's really, really, really loud stadium.
Yeah.
You know, I played in Buffalo the last few years, and they talk about their fans being so diehard, but with the open stadium, it doesn't get near as loud as what it was. And so that was definitely special. And when you think about any organization, if you fast forward and the guys who try to win the Super Bowl, what are some checklist things that you should really focus on? That'd be winning at home and winning against the division. And so having a home game against the division this week, just like we did 2 weeks ago, extra emphasis to try to go 1-0 each week.
His dad also said that he got a little emotional in the Showtime sequence. He said it was that cool.
Yeah.
It's an experience.
Yeah, my folks are proud.
Dalvin, do you still like have your moments where you hear that Skol chant and you're just like, oh shoot?
Oh yeah. When you hear the Skol chant right before kickoff and stuff, it's like you can't explain it because you could feel it. Like, and just when we have to go on offense first, I'd be so mad because I want to hit somebody so bad that it's like it just makes you so amped up and like so locked in that much more. And sometimes you have to sit back. Like when the offense is out there, I just stand there sometimes and think, like, we're really in the National Football League. Like, this is a blessing. But yeah, the Skol chant is crazy. Like, I've never seen anything like it. And to have the fans have that much effect on the game it's a blessing, because especially on defense, we all on the same page already, and then the fans are making the offense mess up their communications and things like that. It's just, you love to see it.
Well, the good thing about it all is that the opposing offenses can't hear their plays, and you guys probably can't hear each other also. But I'm sure the defensive guys will.
Did you get that? Did you get that one?
Man, well, it was good for all of us to hear you guys today. This was another fun episode with Harrison Phillips and Dalvin Tomlinson. Fellas, appreciate you as always.
Yep.
Let's get a dub this Sunday, all right?
Yeah, most definitely.
Invite us back sometime.
Yeah.
You're always welcome.
Okay.
You heard it from Tatum.
We'll have to
They'll be
crash.
back, so they're coming
The door
back.
is always open.
Play video games next time.
WWE, look out.
Yeah.